Hi, it's me, Ivy Barksdale, Realtor with Guide Realty, coming to you once again with Black history from a personal perspective. Now, I know you're saying, come on now, February is over. But like I said in my last video, Black history is 365 days a year. But today being the first day of Women's History Month, I felt I would be remiss if I did not take this opportunity to just talk a little bit about the women in my family. As you heard in my prior videos, most of the recorded history of my family revolves around the patriarchs or the men of the family. So today I want to take a brief look at the women in my family. Now, I don't really know a lot about my great-great or great-grandmother on either side. I guess that means I have a little work to do. But my grandmother on my father's side was Mattie Lou Hargrove Map Davis. Her grandfather was Israel Hargrove, and he was a full-blooded Cherokee, and she had features that strongly resembled the Cherokee people. She was a very strong and fearless woman, and we called her Grandmama. She worked outside of the house from the time my daddy was very young, and she remarried after my daddy's dad, Map, passed away. She married a Davis and continued to work outside of the home for many years. She was a strong disciplinarian, and Grandma, she did not take any foolishness, but she was the kind of grandmama that believed in spoiling her grandkids. She would let us drink Coke, and even if we weren't sick, see, at that time we only got Coke if we had an upset stomach. But she made the best fried chicken and potato salad, and she lived to be 88 years old. My grandmother on my mother's side was Beatrice Tutt Martin, and she was a stay-at-home mom for most of her life. And I don't say stay-at-home mom very lightly, because her days were spent cooking 3 meals a day, breakfast, dinner, and supper for her 15 children and her husband and whoever else was working the farm. But because they had so many girls, the girls had to work in the fields. And so Mama B, as we called her, did all of the cooking. And then when she was in her 60s, she decided she wanted to start a taxi cab stand in Greenville, Kentucky. And she did just that. That showed me that you're never too old to put a dream into action. She lived to be 95 years old. Then there's my mother, Viola Martin Map. She was the second child born to Herbert and Beatrice, but she was Herbert's fourth daughter. And she was a woman of grace and class. And in my daddy's book, he says, and I quote, "One might say that beauty and brains were well packaged in her." He also says that she was soft-spoken but firm and was a great leader. Being the youngest of 8, I was able to see the growth in my mother over the years. She eventually became as involved in the community as my daddy, and she was always standing by his side and would proudly call herself Mrs. James R. Mapp. And she was involved in the PTA and NAACP on the local, state, and national levels. And she was also very actively involved in the Chattanooga Baptist District Association. She served as a full-time secretary to Orchard Island Missionary Baptist Church, and until she was no longer able to continue to work due to her illness. She passed away in 1995, and I can't help but think that part of my daddy died with her, but that may have been what prompted his retirement from the NAACP in 1995, because he was so used to having her by his side as his strongest supporter. So on this, the first day of Women's History Month, I salute all the women that have blazed trails before me. The impact that my grandmothers, my aunts, my sisters, my cousins have had on my life can't be conveyed in just a few short minutes. But this month, I salute each and every one of you. So I haven't quite finished with this. I would like for you to join me on Monday, March the 8th at 7 p.m. for my Black History from a Personal Perspective interview and Q&A session. The interview would be conducted by none other than my daughter, Martina Barksdale. So go ahead and like Ivy Barksdale Realtor so you can keep up to date with the details. Looking forward to seeing you soon.